Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode 121 of the Driftless Knitting podcast. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find my patterns on Ravelry and at driftlessknitting.com. I am coming to you on Saturday, November 5th. I almost said 6th. But yes, it is Saturday, November 5th. It is 3:42 in the afternoon, and we have a gray, rainy day here in Wisconsin. Not the best fall weather, but hey, we've been spoiled for the last week or so with 60s and 70s, so I can't complain too much. It's already November. And at times in other years, we've had snow on the ground by now, so not going to complain too much. But yeah, it's kind of a murky, icky day out there. Today I have a little bit of time to record because Hudson, my 2-year-old, is with my mother-in-law and my father-in-law at their farm for the day. So my husband and I get a little bit of a break, and we get a chance to just kind of have a nice relaxing day in, which has been very, very lovely. I've done a little knitting, done a little around the house, and now I thought I would sit down and record a podcast for the first time in over a month, well over a month, I believe. So yeah, very happy to have the chance to do that. Lots has been going on in the last, month and a half. My husband and I went on a vacation, and yeah, I think I recorded maybe a week or 2 weeks before we left on our vacation. We had a great time. We went to North Carolina. It was during the hurricane, but thankfully we were in the western half of the state and only got a little bit of rain the first day that we were there. And otherwise it was maybe a little chillier than it normally would be in that area. We were in North Carolina and then Tennessee, and it was a little chillier, but still not too bad. Especially for, we're from Wisconsin, or the Midwest, and we are used to, 50s and 60s in the fall time in October. So yeah, it was wonderful. We did miss our little guy a lot, and it was good to get home to him. We drove, so by the day we were driving home, it was like a 11-hour drive, and we had a little bit of delays. We had a flat tire that we had to deal with, and just when you're on the road and you have to stop for food and bathrooms, like the time can add up. So we didn't get home until like 8:30 at night. All in all, it was like a 13-hour day for us, and I was so ready to get home, so ready to see Hudson. But yeah, the trip all in all was a great time. Yeah, so we had that. We've had a lot going on for work. We had the Madtown Yarn Shop Hop in the Madison area, that Knit Circus, which is the company I work for. Knit Circus is a part of that. We plan it every year, and that happened the second weekend of October. So that was a lot of fun. It was great to see some friendly faces. Well, they're all friendly faces, some familiar faces, I should say, and meet new people. Yeah, very exciting. And then unfortunately, of course, I was not able to get to Rhinebeck this year. That happened mid-October, but it was great to see everyone's photos and videos. I still have to catch up with some of the vlogs that were taken like during the Rhinebeck weekend and Rhinebeck hauls and stuff like that. I haven't really done much podcast watching in the last few weeks, so I need to catch up on those. But I was jealous, of course. I think most of us are when we see people having fun especially at fiber festivals and yarn shows, and you kind of wish you were there, seeing people, meeting people, just being with, a group of people that shares a love of the same thing. That's always such a great environment to be in. And yeah, someday I hope to go back. I've been once. I went back in 2015, so it's been quite a while, but I hope to get back someday and be able to just, be around all of the fiber and yarny goodness. And for those of you who were able to go, I hope you had such a blast. But yeah, I have quite a bit to show you today. Some things, it's funny because I didn't podcast for the last, month and a half. I have a couple projects finished. Well, I have a project finished that you haven't seen at all. I have one half done that you haven't seen at all. And another whip that's brand new. And some progress on a third one. So anyway, let's get started. I meant to grab my sock blockers, but I forgot. This pair of socks right here that I will show you. This is my only finished object. These were my road trip socks that I knit while we were on our trip. I started these the morning that we left, and I got completely finished with one of them, and I got about halfway up the foot of the second, or no, these were top down. So I think I got halfway through the cuff of the second one before we got home, and then knit the rest of them in the week or so after we got home. This sock pattern is called the Prairie Socks. It's by K.F. Jones of the Bakery Bears. And this was a cuff down sock pattern. If you have watched for a while, you know that I usually knit my socks toe up. So this was a little bit different for me, but I thoroughly enjoyed kind of just the novelty of it, I guess, because I do knit my socks toe up all the time. It was fun to do something a little bit different. So I love it's hard to show you can kind of see the texture on those because the yarn is so busy. It's hard to show off the texture, but it's just a really nice like twisted stitch in there that gives it just this little pop of texture, and otherwise it's a mindless, so it's so much fun to knit. I loved this pattern so much. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is not the heel that is written into the pattern. I think she does like an Eye of Partridge or a similar type of heel flap and gusset, but I love that I can just insert this is my favorite heel to knit, favorite heel to wear, the Fish Lips Kiss, and I can insert it in a toe-up sock or a top-down sock. It doesn't matter. So all I had to do was knit the cuff as long as I thought I wanted it for my leg, popped in my Fish Lips Kiss heel, and didn't even have to worry about looking at the pattern. I feel like this pattern is, once you got the numbers down, once you do it a few times, it's so easy to memorize, and then you just have it with you. Yep, popped in my heel and then knit my foot, and of course I had to try it on before decreasing for my toe, but yeah. And then I just did the toe decreases that she lays out in the pattern as well. This yarn is, I believe, an 80-20 blend from a homespun house. This was her, I think it was Return to Hogwarts. I don't think I ever got a Halloween at Hogwarts, like mystery skein, but I did get a Christmas at Hogwarts and a Return to Hogwarts, which the Christmas at Hogwarts, I've knit that long ago into a pair of socks for my sister. Actually, they're sitting, one of them's actually sitting on my dresser right now because it needs to be darned, along with another pair that I knit for her that she wore out really quickly because she wore them over and over again a couple winters ago. Yeah, I've been meaning to darn those for a while. But anyway, that is a totally different story someday. Yeah, so this is, I believe, a Return to Hogwarts from like 2018, maybe 2017. I honestly cannot remember when I got that. It was definitely pre-pandemic, like by a couple of years. I'm trying to remember the apartment or the place we lived when I got this, and I think we had already moved to the Madison area, which would have been 2017 into 2018. But I can't remember if it was like the year after that. Anyway, it really doesn't matter because it's a one of a kind and you can't get it anyway. So, but yeah, I loved this yarn. I thought it was just the perfect like fall. it's kind of fall with the orange in there, but then it also has like the dark blue. It's kind of Halloween-y, but then just fall in general. So I try to, with like, not all my socks, obviously, but I always like to have kind of a fall pair of socks, a Christmas pair of socks at some point in those seasons. Spring and summer, or yeah, spring and summer, not as much. I have done that where I've had like a very obvious like spring colorway that just is calling to me during that season that I will put on the needles and knit. But for some reason, fall and winter or fall and Christmas are very, like, I want to have like themed yarns and themed socks going. So I try to do at least one pair of like autumnal feeling socks during the season. So it was the perfect excuse. I also like to have a road trip. Whenever we go on trips, they're usually road trips, I like to cast on a project that reminds me of that. So I have several pairs of socks, and usually it's socks because that's such easy car knitting, that I can just look at, or even just look at the remnants of the yarn, and I instantly am transported back to us driving in the car, like the audiobook we were listening to, you know, different things we do on that trip, because I'll bring them with me, you know. I have a pair of socks that also I knit in like autumnal colors for our honeymoon. We went on a honeymoon in 2018. Even though we got married in June, we went in September. And so I cast on a pair of like autumnal feeling socks for that as well. And I can instantly picture the houses, or the like Airbnbs we stayed in, the hotel we were in at one point, the canoe, the little like day trip, canoe trip we went on. And it just brings back so many great memories because that was such a fantastic trip. And I love having that memory. So this will bring me back to going to North Carolina and Tennessee. And yeah, I just love it. So that is my one finished object. I do have another, maybe I should show you this really quick. I wasn't sure if I was going to show you this, but I did work on something else in between, and kind of while I was finishing up those prairie socks, I cast on a bell cowl. So this is a like asymmetrical bandana style cowl that I have had in my favorites for a while. The designer is Colleen Kinnersley. I'm probably saying that wrong, but anyway, it just looks like a really kind of mindless knit, easy to wear. This was going to be a gift for my mom for Christmas. I cast it on using the Knitted Wit. I think I showed you this a while ago, but Knitted Wit Great Smoky Mountains National Park colorway in their 100% superwash merino fingering weight. So this is what the yarn looks like, and really, really beautiful. I wanted to use this yarn for a gift for my mom because she and my stepdad have been to Great Smokies a couple of times and they really, really like it out there. We weren't in the national park, in Great Smoky Mountain National Park, but we were like in the Smokies during this trip. So I actually brought this along with me in case, you know, I brought along like 3 projects in case like something happened crazy and I needed a cast on. I didn't, and I ended up casting this on after we got back, but it was in my bag ready to go just in case. So I cast this on and I knit a little bit of it. It is off the needles because I decided to go with something a little different. But it has like ribbed, like a reverse stockinette rib that you put in every so often, and you increase. So you know, cast on down here and you're increasing until you get to a certain number of stitches, and then you kind of like go over and then decrease and then put it together, and it's like this cool asymmetrical bandana. Still gonna knit this pattern. I still would, I think it is a perfect gift knit, and I am looking forward to knitting this because I had fun. I whipped this up in like a day. 2 days maybe. It's perfect for like knitting while Hudson was playing, and I could just like watch him and interact with him, but I could still knit because it's all like stockinette stitch. Wonderful. But I realized that as I was knitting, you know, you're increasing, there's a lot of movement in the cowl. And so the variegation, I think if it was for me, I don't know if I would mind. But it's going to be very busy. There might be a little bit of pooling, and it's not going to look uniform throughout the entire cowl. So I just didn't think it was the right choice for this project, unfortunately. I still want to use this yarn to knit an accessory for my mom, but I'm not sure what accessory that is. I think I have to be really careful with, yeah, like stitches and increases and pooling. My mom's style is very, you know, classy, classic, and she loves to throw in an accessory, but I don't think if it was really busy and crazy, I'm not sure if it would go with a lot of what she wears. So yeah, I just thought better about it. Instead of knitting it up and kind of feeling like and having her kind of feel about it, I would save this yarn for something else, rip it out, and try a different pattern, a different yarn for a gift knit for her. So that leads me to, I'm just going to set that aside. That leads me to my next cast on. So this is in a autumn themed bag by Twisted Threads. Yes. And I don't know if, I forget who this is. This is somebody I've been friends with on Instagram for a while. But I can't remember her name, and I feel bad, but she sent me this kind of as a get your yarn wishes granted a while back. And it has been kind of my autumn bag for the last few years. So I decided to cast on a cowl. I'm still going to knit a cowl for my mom, but I am knitting it out of this gorgeous yarn. Look at it shining. It's shining so much because this is a 50% merino, 50% silk fingering weight yarn. It is so soft. It is so beautiful. And it is dyed up by the Grinning Gargoyle. Again, not sure if the Grinning Gargoyle still dyes yarn, but if so, that is, I got this, God. I got this in like 2013, maybe 2014. I had graduated college already, but I was barely out of college, and I went to Vogue Knitting Live in Chicago with a group of friends from the yarn store that I used to work at. So yeah, I think it was like 2014. Long time ago. It's been in my stash this whole time. There was a little while where I thought I would de-stash this yarn along with some other things I got like way back in the day, but then just seeing it, feeling it, it's so sophisticated, and I think it's going to make an amazing, like, drapey, soft cowl, and I'm very excited. It's the gunmetal colorway, and I am not going off of a pattern. So I kind of have a plan for this. I have an idea of what I want it to look like. It's kind of a very minimalist style that's going to give me some good drape, but it has a little bit of something extra. And I'm not far enough for you to really see that, so I don't feel bad like not explaining it because I don't know if it's going to work. I've just done the ribbing at the bottom. So I did do I think it's a 4x2 because I wanted you to see mostly like knit stitches with just a little bit of movement in there. And then obviously it'll help it from rolling. So yeah, a little bit of interest at the bottom, and then I'm going to go into the body of it from here, and hopefully my plan works out. I am knitting these on size 5s. Yes. I did the ribbing on size 4s, and then now I'm on size 5s, 16 inch. So hopefully that works out. I'm just excited to work with this yarn, especially because it is such deep stash. And there's always a sense of accomplishment when you cake up a yarn that has been in your stash for this long. I'm sure lots of people have yarn that has been in their stash for longer. I do have yarn that's been in my stash longer than that. I really started getting back into knitting and buying good yarn in, I think, 2010, 2009, 2010. Yeah, I'm I was in college, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what part. It was January of 2010 that I started working at the yarn shop I used to be at. I was there for about 7 years. Yeah, it's 2017 until I moved here and started working at Knit Circus. So my whole adult life has been just yarn focused. So that's why that's why this is only half of my stash. And you can only see half of it. There's another 2 shelves below this angle. A lot of yarn, and yeah, a lot of projects cast on, and a lot. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that all works out and I can show you my progress next time. So speaking of working at another yarn company and my life being completely obsessed with yarn, I am currently knitting, I just cast this off today, currently knitting a pair of socks with some Knit Circus yarn. This is a pattern you guys will have seen. I've knit a couple of these, and I'm finally knitting up a sample, an official sample that will go in a pattern that I will be releasing probably sometime this month, sometime in November, probably end of the month. So these are going to be a Christmas themed pattern yarn. Look at that. It's such a long sock. So just cast these off. This is sock number 1. I love this gradient. So this is a gradient that I actually came up with and dyed a few years ago, and now it's one of our, it's in our repertoire. It's called Sleigh Ride, and the greens in there, it's kind of, I don't know, the camera's not showing off because of my ring light. These are kind of getting washed out, but this is the softest sagey grayish green. It's hard to describe, but I just love that color. And then these other, I love how this yarn, it does scream Christmas, but you also get some of these more subtle colors and this really rich burgundy at the top. So yeah, I do have a name for these. I don't think I'm going to reveal the name quite yet, but the pattern will be, like I said, released end of November. We'll be selling the sock sets for these. You can technically buy the Sleigh Ride sock sets right now, but we'll just be releasing this pattern and, showing it off on the Knit Circus website for our customers and the people who don't follow me, who might want to knit them. So you can see, there we go. If I turn it, you can see the texture on there. I haven't blocked this, obviously, but I love this subtle texture. Again, it's the perfect pattern to have on the go, during the holidays when you're wanting something fairly simple, but still interesting. That's what I think I try to do with a lot of my textured socks, is simple and interesting. Because that's the kind of socks that I want to knit. And when I'm casting something on, that's just the prairie socks. That's exactly why I wanted to knit those, because you want to have something that's going to look pretty. Not that stockinette socks don't look pretty. Something that's going to look pretty, but also isn't going to take all of your brain power. And that's my goal. So did them toe up, fish lips kiss heel. I will be writing instructions for top down because it's almost the same. You just have to, reverse the texture pattern. And then I did a 2x2 rib, ends still need to be woven in, but 2x2 rib. This is a very long leg. I wouldn't normally do my legs this long, but I wanted to get through the whole gradient. This is actually using for people who are like kind of interested in our sock sets and wondering about them. They come in different sizes. So I never use a full 100 gram skein of sock yarn. That's just, I don't have very large feet. I have size US 7 feet. And I don't need knee length socks. So I like to do my socks like a few inches above my ankle, maybe 4 or so inches above my ankle, so not super tall. This is a little bit taller than that, as you can see, but yeah, I needed to use all the gradient, and this is actually a medium set. So if I were to get a large set, I'd be knitting another, I don't know how many inches. It would definitely probably go up to my knee. So this is what it looks like in the cake. I have the second cake of yarn ready to go to knit the next one, because I did cast on, even though I just cast the first one off today. I got the second one on the needle, so I have no excuse not to knit it. It is right there. It's ready to go. Yep. No second sock syndrome here. My yarn is in a right mess there, but that's okay. I knit these on size 1, US 1, 2.25 millimeter, and I have a 40-inch cord, which some might think is overkill, and sometimes it is, but that's okay. I don't care. And I do knit them one at a time. Not a 2 at a time knitter. I just don't, I know how to do it. I just don't like to. So, this project is in my Hannah Lou Designs super cozy pumpkin fall yummy bag with all the treats on it. I love this bag so much. And this bag housed these socks, and it is now housing, even though these are Christmas, I just wanted to use this one more time before the seasons completely change. So yes, that's why they're in there. And yeah, keep a lookout for information about that pattern. I'm really hoping back filming, but I can't guarantee it. Though this December, I am still planning on doing Vlogmas. I've been thinking a lot about it. I have no oh, my shirt's all wonky. I have no guarantees of me doing anything super special during Vlogmas. It's probably just going to be the usual, you know, daily vlog, me at work, me at home. Yeah. Definitely busy as always, so not sure. I mean, we're hoping to get to a couple like festive type things, but yeah, no guarantees on anything really exciting besides just normal life. So hopefully if you guys want a little bit more content from me of just everyday life around here, you'll get to see our new house a little bit more. Last year, of course, we had we hadn't closed yet, but we had got an accepted offer on this house in the beginning of December. I know I talked about that a little bit with us going to see houses, and then, you know, as the time got closer, I did let you guys know that we had an accepted offer, but now you actually get to see it. And I post a little bit of, you know, photos and stuff on Instagram, but not a whole lot. So it will be fun to give you a little bit more of an inside look on our daily life here. So keep a lookout for that. And then I'll definitely be talking about the pattern, showing off photos, all that stuff there, if not on a regular episode. So that was 2 projects. This last one will be recognizable to you. This is my calico quilt shawl / blanket. This is also in a Hannah Lou Designs bag. This was my summer bag. It was my birthday present from the Bumblebees from Bumblebee Acres. Thanks, guys. Yeah, and I started knitting this in the summertime, so that was an obvious choice. And then, you know what, we're just gonna keep it rolling because that bag is so cute and I love it so much. And the size is great for just throwing in a couple of my minis at a time. I do have a bigger like tote bag that all of the mini skeins are in, that I just grab a few out of, wind them, put them in my little bag, because I want to be able to carry that around a little easier. It's going to get too small eventually. That's why I will probably transfer it to the bigger tote when the project gets bigger, but right now it still fits pretty well. So this is a shawl by Sam Troya, or Sam B of Bumblebee Acres. And I am, oh my gosh, it's all tangled up. This is not Bumblebee Acres yarn, however. I usually have at least one project going with Bumblebee Acres yarn, but this month's a little different. But yes, this is her pattern, one of her patterns that she came out with specifically for Advents. And this is my 2021 Woolberry Fiber Company Advent that I started 2 projects with it, I think, and they just didn't feel right until I found, or I had known about the calico quilt shawl, but I really looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I think this is the project. So I am on square 13. I'm like not quite halfway done, maybe halfway done with triangle 13, as you can see there. And then it keeps going for a little ways. Oh gosh, my arms are not long enough. Okay, that was unflattering and probably didn't show it off very well, but there it is. I am doing this completely to pattern. The size of the triangles they use roughly about 10 grams. My cakes are 20 grams, so I've decided to turn this into a blanket. And Sam does have some advice on the pattern about how to do that. So after I decrease, so this is square number 1 or triangle number 1, and it goes, you do the whole first row, and then you come back and you do, you know, the second row, and then it slowly decreases from there until you get to like a point. So that's what's going to make the shawl size. And then you come back, she has some advice about coming back up here and casting on in the same way to go up the other way. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna mirror these colors or if I'm gonna do it in reverse. I think I'm leaning towards doing it in reverse. So let's go over here. So this one will instead be over here. So it'll be flip-flopped and then going to a point. So the last color on both sides will be the same, but otherwise they'll be like flip-flopped. I think I like that. I think I like that plan. I wanted to use all of my 20 grams without, I could just put, you know, a square in my cozy memory blanket. That's what I did with a past Advent. I have a project with each mini skein and then also a square in my cozy memory blanket with each mini skein. But when I saw that there was kind of this idea of turning this into a blanket, I loved that idea. I'm the last, how many, 4 Advents, 3 at least, 3 or 4 Advents that I've done wraps, and I love them and they're beautiful, but I don't need another, I don't need another wrap. Or, I mean, shawls are a little different. You wear them a little bit differently, so I'm not gonna say I don't need a shawl, but the sort of like rectangular wrap that I was drawn to for the last few years, I just didn't want to do it. The blankets were really calling to me, but I didn't want to just do stripes. Yeah, it was like this mind game of literally trying to find the perfect balance between, you know, it's not mitered squares, not stripes, not shawls, not wraps. What am I gonna do? And then this just jumped out at me and I literally became obsessed with it. I haven't worked on this in a while because I was trying to finish up, you know, my autumn socks so that I could knit, you know, the new sock pattern and get that ready. And then now I'm sort of starting to get into gift knitting. I'm going to do a little bit of gift knitting this year. I'm not going to go crazy. But I would love to at least get through the first half of this by the time my 2022 Advent comes. Or not comes, but until I start opening it. What am I going to knit with that, you ask? I don't know. It took me like 8 months to figure out what to knit with my 2021 Advent. So beats me. I'm going to look around a little bit and see if people are coming out with new patterns for Advents. I'm kind of leaning towards a cowl, like a stripy cowl, like a big one. Is it Helen Stewart? Does she have a new one out? I want to say, because she did like the Land of Sweets cowl, and I'm thinking kind of about that one or something similar to that. So probably, you know, shorter stripes and just being able to wear it around my neck. I don't know. I'm leaning towards that, but I'm not sure. But I'm loving this so much. Sam, if you're coming out with a new pattern, let me know. I know you have some other ones too. Honestly, I should take a look at those, because I knit, my first ever Advent was a Bumblebee Acres, and I knit the Mountain of Minis wrap, which I wear religiously every winter. I think that one, it has a lot of nostalgia in it too. I loved opening those up. It was my first yarn Advent. It was gifted to me by a really, really good friend, and kind of as a way, I had just moved, and it was a way to tie me back to my Winona home, because I was missing everybody so much, and it was just a really great project, and something to look forward to every year, every day. So yeah, that was a great one by Sam. And then I also did the Myriad. There was Mountain of Minis, and then there was like a Myriad of Minis, but like the bigger version, because she did a smaller version, I think. And then she did a bigger version a few years later. And that one I did with their Jane Austen themed Advent. That was 2 years ago. So yeah, I've had two Bumblebee Advents and 2 Bumblebee patterns. This is obviously the third one, but not with a Bumblebee Advent. But that's okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm loving that. Can't wait to get more work done on that one. And yeah, as soon as this sock is finished, I'm going to be going back to that for sure. Okay, so I guess the last thing to show you is acquisitions. I have been doing so good and haven't really gotten much yarn in the last month and a half. The only thing I'm pretty sure, because the yarn for these socks was pattern support from Knit Circus. So because we're promoting it on there, it's in their yarn, our yarn. I always like switch, like when I'm working there, obviously it's our yarn. When I'm talking about my patterns, I say like they and them, even though I am part of that team, but I don't know. Anyway, I did pick up a skein of yarn on our trip. We stopped by a yarn shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. We only got to one yarn shop on our trip, which is totally fine. I was trying not to really buy yarn, but I did pick up a skein of Madeline Tosh Vintage, or Tosh Vintage. This just sort of jumped out at me. I know it's not really, I mean, you can get Madeline Tosh in a lot of places, but I still really love their yarn. I've knit a couple projects in the worsted weight, the Tosh Vintage, and really enjoyed knitting those. It's so squishy, it's so soft. I love the stitch definition, the ply, everything is just really great. This has 200 yards, and it's called Lost in the Trees. I think it's 100% superwash merino. Yes. I knew that, I figured that, but I just want to make sure. And I thought it would be really fun to do a kind of a winter set for Hudson. Maybe knit him another hat. He has a hat that I knit him last year. I think it'll still fit because it was a little bit of a slouchy hat, but I'm not 100% sure yet. We haven't had too cold of weather where he's really needed to wear his hat for a while, and he's kind of been refusing. I tried putting it on him a couple of times and he refused to wear it for very long. So yeah, I don't know if we're getting to that stage where he doesn't want to wear like hats, and it's been so easy in the past to just like stick him in something and he just doesn't have an opinion. Now he does. So yeah, I really love the greens and browns, and he kind of, we were talking about, you know, mommy's knitting, and he sort of requested, I mean, obviously he's 2, he doesn't really know, but he said, I was like, oh, do you want a hat? Do you want mittens? And he said, mittens. And I was like, what color? And he said, green. And at that stage, I think like everything was green to him. But I sort of like jumped on that and I was like, okay, green mittens, green, I'm going to do green hat, green mittens, and I'm going to do it out of this. So, and then we're a forest loving family. We love taking walks at some of our county parks and state parks. You know, there's some beautiful, beautiful places that we go, and just being in the trees, being in the forest, we just love that. I've been trying to take opportunities of, you know, stopping at places on our way home from daycare. We'll just stop and do a quick walk. There's like 2 really great parks, you know, outside of our town, in the town that he goes to daycare in, which is on my way home from work. So we just sort of like, you know, stop there for an hour, for 45 minutes, and just, you know, be outside. There's also, you know, besides that, there's several trails. We're just really lucky in the area that we live in. We're so lucky to have so much nearby. I know growing up, I lived in Illinois, in a rural part of Illinois, but everything around us was cornfields. And so we had like one like forest park trail near us, and that was really the only thing, unless you like drove quite a ways. And like being here, it's like we drive like 10 minutes and we're at a county park. We drive, you know, 15 minutes and we're at a state park. Like, it's so crazy, but it's awesome. I love it. And then there's like a bunch of other state parks within half hour, 20 minutes. It's just, yeah, absolutely fantastic. So really taking advantage of those things, being outside, and this just really reminded me of the love of nature that I'm trying to like instill in Hudson, and I just love it. So that'll be a fun project. So that's the only yarn. Can you believe that? That's the only yarn I bought since I recorded last. Crazy. I did buy a cross stitch book for those of you who are also cross stitchers or interested in cross stitch. I stopped by the Country Sampler. I think it's Country Sampler. Of course it doesn't have like a tag on it or anything, in Spring Green last Saturday, and I was able to look around a little bit there and picked out this book. I've been eyeing this book. I've seen it a couple of times. I've seen this pattern a couple of times, and I've been just really wanting to make it. And I saw the finished sampler, or I guess it can be considered a sampler, but I saw the finished project on the wall stitched up, and I was just like, okay, I gotta see if they have this pattern. And of course it came in a book, which is fine because there's some other really beautiful things in here. But it's called Winds of Autumn by Blackbird Designs, and Blackbird Designs is just a really great like primitive style, you know, design company. There's a couple of designers that contribute. One of them actually passed away recently, but they're still going to be, the company is still going to be publishing, and the other collaborators is still, you know, going strong. But yeah, so it's called Winds of Autumn, and the pattern that I bought it for specifically is this one down here. You probably can't read that. There's a house, there's like an oak tree, and there's some other things going on, and it says mighty oaks from little acorns grow. And there's a little squirrel down there. I love the pattern along the outside of the piece. And yeah, I saw it stitched up there and I caved. So they also have some really beautiful patterns in here that some of them are, like a lot of them are sewn into little pillows. I mean, how cute. How cute is that? I love that. And obviously autumn, Halloween, like you can't go wrong. And I won't be stitching these necessarily into, Seaver just opened the door. It's like, oh God, you're still talking. I won't be stitching these into pillows necessarily. I'm not a sewist. I don't have a sewing machine. I've dabbled years ago, like we're talking 20, 25 years ago when I was like 6. I think my Oma got me started on like a patchwork quilt, helping me sew on the machine. I don't think I've sewed on a machine since I was like 10. So yeah, it's been a while, but someday my goal is to have a craft room where I can have a sewing machine. I can get into quilting. I can maybe, I'm more interested in like quilting than I am in making clothing. Even though it'd be great to be able to make some of my own clothing, but yeah, definitely more into the decorative when it comes to that. But yeah, so I will, if I do knit any of these other designs, it will most likely just be like framed, or I don't know, can you farm out like making pillows? Can I hire someone to do that for me? I don't know. Yeah, here, take my stitching and make it into a pillow. So that's gonna be fun. They also had the kits ready, and you know, they were all put together, but I have no plans. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to stitch this. I already have a stitching project like going that I just need to finish. Well, not just need to finish. There's a lot of work left, but yeah, I need to finish that. I have other patterns I've bought. Who knows when I get to them, but they're so motivating and it's so fun to think about all the potential, and yeah, I can't wait until I have some time to do a little bit more of that. In the meantime, I will dream. I will slowly work away on the cross stitch I have going, and I will knit. That's my plan. So I think I have caught you up on everything I've been working on, and I'm just so happy to be able to talk to you today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, whether you are a new viewer or a new subscriber. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, if you could give it a thumbs up, if you could subscribe to my channel, that would be fantastic. I know that my videos have been few and far between, but like I said, I will be doing Vlogmas, so you will hopefully get a vlog, like a day-to-day vlog from me every day of December until Christmas. So that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, if you are interested in seeing any of my other patterns, I know I teased an upcoming one, but you can find other sock patterns, you can find some shawl patterns, a couple of cowl patterns up on Ravelry, as well as driftlessknitting.com. I hugely appreciate any purchases of those patterns. You know, we have a young family, we have a new house, any little bit helps, honestly. So I will say goodbye until next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have the chance to do things that make your heart happy. Knitting, reading, stitching, watching movies, whatever it is that you need to make yourself joyful, go do those things. And I'll be doing the same. Thanks again, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.